A pleasant day to everyone. For this lesson, I'm going to talk about two parts, which are the first is the marketing, the art and science of satisfying customers. The second part is the marketing, which is the environment, ethics, and even the social responsibility. In the end of this lesson, you student will be able to define marketing in the different perspective. You can also define utilities related to marketing, even the contrast marketing activities during the 5 years in the history of marketing. And you can also describe the characteristics of non-for-profit marketing, even the 5 types of non-traditional marketing, or even and also, you can identify the 12 functions of marketing. You can also identify the 5 components of marketing environment, and you can describe the ethical issues in marketing, and you can also identify the 4 levels of the social responsibility pyramid. The definition of marketing is according to these 3 fields. The first is marketing to marketing. This is the total system of interacting business activities designed to plan, price, promote, and even distribute the one satisfying goods and services to the present and even to our potential customers. The second field is the marketing to management. And for this one, since we're talking about the so-called management, we have here the planning, analysis, implementation, and the control of carefully formulated programs designed to create, build, and even maintain beneficial exchanges with the target market for the purpose of achieving individual and organizational objectives. And for the last is the marketing to economics. In this one, this is the system in the society by which the demand structure of economic goods and services is anticipated, enlarged, and satisfied through the conceptions of pricing, promotion, and physical distribution of such goods and services to create exchange and make a profit for the purpose of achieving individual and organizational objectives. Second things to discuss is about the utility as a part of marketing. Once we talk about utility, this is per unit, or let's say per quantity, or whatever the unit emphasizes in terms of the services or the product provided by the business. In here, the economics contributed the concept of utility. This is the one satisfying power of a good or service. The form utility is created when the company converted raw materials and components inputs into finished goods and services. In here, we have the 4 types of utility. The first one is the form, second is the time, third is the place, and the last is the ownership or the possession. And descriptions. Again, once we talk about form, this are came from the raw mats into a process into finished product to be sold in the market. Like for example, we have here the different fast food or different restaurants that you can see production of food and even some of the gadgets or jeans that we are talking about the manufacturing of clothes and even the manufacturing of different devices. And the organizational function responsible is definitely informs is the production. Next is in the time. So in time, this is when the goods are available to be consumed by our customers. So like for example, the physician's appointment. So in here, during pandemic, we need to have an appointment or even now, especially if the services are one of a kind, meaning this is not generic and this services is specifically for this certain illness that need to be addressed or need to be solved in a quick manners, and even the digital photographs. So in here, obviously we need to have an appointment, specifically once we talk about the date of a certain event. So in here, the functions are came from the marketing responsibility. Next is the place. So in here again, this is the availability of a certain goods or service at convenient locations. So and technician available in auto repair facility or even the on-site daycare, banks, and grocery stores. So in here, once we talk about place, this is how the business being more convenient or being more easy to access for our customers. And for the responsible functions are came from the marketing. And for the last type is the ownership or the possession. This is the ability to transfer title to goods or services from marketer to buyer. So technically, this is a type of industry wherein the retail sales happen or exchange of a certain goods happen. Example, in terms of currency, in terms of credit, or even in terms of debit card payment. So the functions are definitely came from the responsibility of our marketing. Again, marketing provides input related to consumers' preferences, but creating from utility is the responsibility of the production functions. Next is how can we create customers? First, we need to identify what is the needs of these customers in their location. Second, we need to find out which needs the organization can have a profit so that they can serve it. And third, develop goods or services to convert potential buyers into customers. So how these things happen? By providing or thinking about innovative product or innovative services. Next is the activities involved in marketing. First, again, we need to identify the customer's needs. So in having customers' needs, obviously, in this kind of place, there is the so-called target market. Second, we need to design product that met those needs. So like for example, if these are beverages, if these are clothes, or this is a place wherein they can gather and so on. The third is communicating information about those goods and services to prospective buyers. Now, having the so-called survey or pre-taste, we can identify how they perceive our product so that if they have some feedback about this survey, we can improve our product or we can meet their needs in accordance to our product. And the fourth one is the pricing, merchandise, and service to reflect costs, competitions, and customers' ability to buy. Even though your product is part of their needs, but however they are not able to pay it, obviously the business will not become profitable. And for the last is providing the necessary service and follow up to ensure customer satisfaction after the purchase. So in here, we need to check time to time how the experience of our customers by providing our services. Next, we also have the 5 years of marketing. First, in prior to 1920s, we have the so-called the production. In here, a good product will sell itself. During this era, the manufacturers stress about the production of quality product and then look for people to purchase them. So during this era, the priority is providing quality product through focusing on their production. The second stage or the second era is prior to 1950s. So in here, they are focusing on sales. By having creative advertising and selling will overcome consumers' resistance and persuade them to buy. So in here, the manufacturers begin to increase their emphasis on the effective sales force to find customers for their output. And for the third era, we have here the marketing. So this is since 1950s. The consumer's rules find a need and fill it. In here, we have the so-called emergence of marketing concept from sellers market to consumers market. And for the fourth era is we have the relationship. This is since 1990s. This is how the long-term relationship with customers and other partners led to success. So in here, having a relationship marketing involves developing a long-term or even a value-added relationship over time with customers and our partners. And we have the social since 2000 until now. Through connecting to consumers via internet and social media, site is an effective tool. The connection of the world due to the internet impacted how marketing works. In addition to this is the emerge of social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and a lot more. Next is the 12 functions of marketing. So we have here the marketing research, product planning and development, standardization and grading, financing and budgeting, selling and salesmanship, procurement, transportation, storage and warehousing, risk taking or risk bearing, advertising, public relations, and the sales promotion. Let's start with the marketing research. In marketing research, this is the systematic, objective, and exhaustive gathering and analyzing and recording of facts related to any problem in the field of marketing in order to facilitate decision making. The second one is the product planning and development. In here, this is the act of making out and supervising the search, the screening, the development, and even the commercialization of a new product and the modification of existing line and or the discontinuance of marginal or unprofitable items. Third is the standardization and grading. This means that establishment of a certain standards or specification of products based on intrinsic physical qualities of any commodity. This may involve the quantity, the weight or size, or it may involve the quality in terms of color, shapes, appearance, materials, taste, sweetness, and etc. For the fourth one is the financing and budgeting. Involves the use of capital to finance the marketing agencies. Example, by having wholesalers or retailers in their various activity, plus the financing of goods moving into and through the channels of distribution. For the fifth one is the selling and salesmanship. This involves determining clients' needs and wants and responding to plan personalized communication that influences purchase decisions and enhance future business opportunities. And next is the procurement. This is the process of buying, which includes knowing of the needs, selecting the suppliers, negotiating the price, and all other pertinent terms, and following up to ensure delivery and recording of transactions for future use. Seventh is the transportation. This provides the physical means of carrying goods and person from one place to another. In other words, it is concerned with the carrying the goods from the place of production to the places of their consumptions. For the eighth, storage and warehousing. This involves holding and preserving goods from the time they are produced until they are needed for consumptions. And also, we have here the risk-taking or risk-bearing. This refers to the financial risk, interest, and the ownership of goods held or unanticipated demand, including the possible losses due to a fall in prices and the losses from spoilage, depreciation, obsolescence, fire, floods, or any other losses that may occur with the passage of time. Tenth is the advertising. This is any paid, non-personal or communication through various media about the business firm, not-for-profit organization, or for-profit or idea by sponsored identified in the message intended to inform or even persuade or reminds the members of a particular audience. 11 is the public relations. This refers to the firm's communications and relationship with its various publics. And for the last is the sales promotion. Marketing activates other than personal selling, advertising, guerrilla marketing, and public relations that stimulate consumer purchasing and dealers' effectiveness. Next is what we have, the marketing environment. In marketing environment, we have the internal and also the external. Once we talk about external, these are internet side. Internal, these are in the orange side. So why we need to talk about this, why we need to study about this, why we need to take a lot of efforts about this to persuade our target market to buy our services or to consume our product. Now, let's talk about the internal environment. To talk about the internal environment, these are the things that the businesses need to work on. First, what are the products? What will be the features of the product? In product, we have tangible or intangible. When we talk about tangible, these are the clothes, these are the gadgets, these are the shoes, and so on. So once we talk about intangible, these are the services. And also the pricing, how much that we need to sell in the market. Is it based from our markup? Is it based on the cost by our production? Based from the demand? Based from the competitions? And also the distribution. How can we distribute our product? Do we have resellers? Do we have agents? Or do we have some on-sites? And also and the promotion. How can we promote our product so that the target market are informed about the services or product that the business offer? And for the external factors or external environment, this is used to understand and influence those administrative functions that are associated with development, implementation, and monitoring of the environmental policy of an organization. It is a systematic approach to minimize the ill effect to the environment by the organization. Now, first, we have here the competitive environment. This is the interactive process that occurs in the marketplace among marketers of directly competitive product, marketers competing for the consumer's purchasing power. Second is we have here the political legal environment. These are the consisting of laws and their interpretation that requires firms to operate under competitive conditions and to protect consumers' rights. Next is the economic environment. In economic environment, these are the factors that influence consumers' buying power and marketing strategies. This includes the stage of business cycle, inflation, deflation, unemployment, income, and resources availability. Next is the technological environment. So in here, this is the application to marketing of knowledge based on the discoveries in science, inventions, and in motivations. And for the last is we have here the social cultural environment. These components of marketing environment consisting of the relationship between the marketer, the society, and the culture. Next is let's talk about SWOT analysis, which I believe you already have an idea about this because this is already talked about in your business subjects. Now, once we talk about strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, these are the internal and also the external factors of a business. So we have here the strength and opportunity. These are the positive side and also the negative side. Just we have the weaknesses and the threats. So once we talk about internal, these are the things that the businesses can control, can manipulate, can work on. However, once we talk about external, these are the things that we cannot control. All we need to do is just to adjust and to adopt the changes. First, what are the strengths? This is how the businesses do their business well. What are the uniqueness of their business and what others see as their strength. And the opportunities, these are the things that, again, that they need to adopt. Example, the trends, the laws that are favorable to them, and also how the businesses turn their strengths into opportunities. And for the negative side, we have here the weaknesses and the trends. So when we talk about the weaknesses, what are the things that the businesses must improve? What are the resources that they don't have? And also the threats, what are the possible barriers for them to become more successful? Example, the laws, example, the competitions, the trends, and so on. Now, let's talk about the consumerism. Once we talk about consumerism, it is a social force within the environment that aids and protects the consumers by exerting legal, moral, and economic pressures on the business and the government. Based from President John F. Kennedy said on the consumer's right. Our consumers have the right to choose freely whatever they want to buy. They are also right to be informed about the product or about the services. They are also right to be heard. So whatever the problem that they might encounter in our services, we need to address it right away. And for the last one is the right to be safe. Once they consume our product, it must not harm them. Next, we also have some ethical issues in marketing. So normally, in having the four P's of marketing, first, in terms of product, some of the plan is already obsolete, and also sometimes the product don't have the quality or the safety, and sometimes the product have some issues in terms of warranties, and even how the sellers or production put labels on this, or somehow through these labels are false information, and also some of the product are just an additional to our pollutions problem. And in terms of place, we also have the exclusive territories, meaning to say they have some businesses that they are authorized to sell in a certain place only. Next is about the dumping. Dumping is a type of practice of selling a product in a foreign market at unfairly low price. This is a price that is lower than the cost in the home market, or which is lower than the cost of production. So here in the Philippines, our product is more expensive than the imports product. And also the dealer right. In the so-called dealership, they are only authorized to sell a certain products or to give a certain services. Next is the predatory competition. So this one, commonly, these are the problem in terms of giving prices. So this predatory is a type of strategy that relies on the undercutting the competitions long enough to force them out of the market. So they are setting their price at a very low price. So in this case, in a certain place, they was not able to sell their product because one of the sellers are selling their product in the non-competitive pricing. Next is the price. We have here the fixed pricing. So in fixed pricing, the best example for this is before pandemic, some of the commuters are using van. So in van, they have the fixed fare. So it's either you are traveling in miles away or even not just far, you need to pay the same amount. And also we have the price discrimination. In price discrimination, this is a type of strategy that are charges our consumers in different prices for the same product or same services based on what the sellers thinks they can get the customers to agree to this one. And also we have the price increases. So time to time, since we have the so-called inflation, our product or our price will become increased. And also we have here the deceptive pricing. In deceptive pricing, this is a method by which the retailers use deceptive means to trick the customers into thinking that they are paying a lower price for the product than what they are actually supposed to. So commonly use this kind of method by retailers. They are practicing deceptive pricing. They think or they are telling to the market that they have the sales clearance or they have the ongoing sales, or let's say they are providing discount sales, but they have a hidden fees. And for the fourth one is we have here the promotion. First is the bait and switch advertising. This is definitely a morally suspect sales tactics that lures customers in which specific claims about the quality or the low prices on the items that turn out to be unavailable in order to upsell them on a similar prices item. It is also considered that they are committing fraud through it takes place in order context, while many other countries have some laws against this one using bait and switch tactics. Not all occurrences constitute fraud. Next, we have the false and deceptive advertising. So this is the marketing of information or visual content about the product that is misleading and unrealistic. Businesses use deceptive advertising to promote goods under claims that they are not accurate to the product actual appearance or even the functions of this one. So deceptive or false advertising can lead consumers to purchase products that are actually counterfeit or defective or even dangerous. So nowadays we call it a scam strategy. And also we have the promotional allowances. So for this kind of ethical issues, this is how the businesses give a price reduction or a discount granted by the manufacturers or members of a marketing channels in return for some form of special promotion of a particular product. And the last is what we call the bribery. Again, once we talk about marketing ethics, this is how the marketers having a standard of conduct and moral values. Next is the social responsibility. So in here, once we talk about social responsibilities, this is the marketing philosophies or policies or procedures and actions that have the enhancement of society's welfare as a primary objectives. And here we have the pyramid model. So this model emphasizes the level of expectation of the people, comprising the four social responsibilities started from the economic to the philanthropic. Now, let's start by the economic responsibility. So in here, as you can see or as you can read, this is how the businesses must need to be profitable, the foundation up which all others rest. So again, once we talk about economic obligation or economic responsibility, this is a primary responsibilities of a company to help develop the economy and achieve a status of development on a par with other countries, generate employments, and distribute goods and services for public use and consumptions. Needless to say, a company should earn a profit, otherwise it will close down. Non-profit organizations, however, like the Philippine Red Cross, are established not for profit but for some specific purposes, such as non-profit organization relies heavily on donations or even in the grant. Next is we have the legal responsibilities or obligation. This is how the businesses need to obey the laws in society, codification of rights and wrong. So the company operation should be within the bounds of law. The company should follow rules and restrictions dictated by the law and comply with the legal requirements. It also has an obligation to pay taxes and get necessary permits in the operation of the business. It has the duty to pay its employees promptly in accordance with the law. The third is we have the ethical responsibility. So the businesses must be ethical, obliged to do what is right and fair, and also they need to avoid harm. So the companies are expected to be ethical in their dealings with stakeholders, especially the general public. They should avoid emitting toxic waste or causing pollution in the course of their operation. They are also have the so-called ethical responsibility to their employees, protective gear should be used when workers are handling harmful chemicals. A company operates ethically when it does not cause harm or threaten the life of anyone in the course of its operations. And for the last is the philanthropic responsibility. This is how the businesses be a good corporate citizen. It is an obligation for a company to help the community in a worthwhile project which are beneficial to the people in the community. This is the way of giving back to the community where the company operates. Philanthropy is a voluntary in nature. Again, this is Miss Jero. Thank you for listening.